All right, everybody. I've got another very special guest for y'all. First time guest. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Mr. David Doub. Welcome, David.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you stopping by. I always appreciate anybody that stops by and come talk to me about some comics. So sounds like a good way to spend my afternoon. So let's start though. David, first time meeting you, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Just kind of, what's your origin story? What gets you to this point? It seems like you're creating comics, doing a lot of fun stuff, making friends in the industry. Have you always loved comics? Did you come about later in life? Like, what's kind of the background for you?
Oh no, I've always loved comics. I'm old enough to where, first few comics I picked up were the spinner rack at 7-Eleven and all that. So I'm at that age. So, and luckily enough, I missed a few issues. And my dad, he wasn't into that, but he always knows things. And he was all like, I can help you with that. And he took me to this abandoned strip mall, and the only anchor left was like this old Showbiz Pizza, with the other mechanical creepy place. And in one corner was this place that was a comic shop, and it had all these back issues, and I was like, what? And it just kind of stuck since then.
And so you grew up loving it and everything. At what point in your life were you like, I think I have stories to tell. I think I can make these things or be a part of the creation of these things?
Yeah. This gets a little bit, story gets a little bit sad. So, warning, heads up. I was just kind of, playing at it. I had other, priorities, had to, work and, take care of the wife and all of that. And then unfortunately she passed fairly young. And that was kind of a big sort of like, life is short sort of moment. And that's when I fully embraced, making comics, not full time, but, get more serious into it and actually get stuff out, because it showed to me it's like, you can't wait for your dreams to realize, because you don't know. And so I just, started diving into it. It was a real big help for me. And it was a real big source of, comfort and, just, yeah, sorry, I don't want to get, too maudlin and all that, but it was, it was a good, therapy, if you will.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I've been lucky enough that I haven't had anything like that in my life, but I can imagine losing someone close to you really puts things in perspective.
Yeah. And I try not to make cliche like YOLO and all that other weird stuff, but it does make you think a little bit harder about stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So were you creating comics prior to that event? And then this was kind of the thing that said, like, maybe I should push a little harder to see what I'm capable of? Or
Yeah. Like, I was writing a script. This publisher out of Britain, they're not around anymore. The guy's still in the industry somewhat. He's all like, hey, I'm looking at the scripts and all that. And I was like, okay. And I was just slowly doing that. And then I was all like, no, I need to get more out and write more and, just get more made. And went through a lot of different formats. I did, after going through a couple of publishers, I tried self-publishing for a bit. And then I'm like, I can do full publishing. And each time I was very much humbled by the fact that, like, no, just because you knew the previous thing you're doing, it's not exactly the same animal. So I kept getting humbled each time. And then finally I'm like, okay, I got to focus just on the creation of comics. And that's why I'm currently with Rolling Squid Bones, because they're wanting to get a lot of unique voices out and all that. I'm like, cool, I'll help you where I can on the, the production side, but I want to, I want to just focus more on making comics than, making a full business.
yeah, definitely. I've heard the name Rolling Squid Bone floating around. What's kind of their deal? What are they all about?
Yeah, it's the publisher had set up by Chad Perkins. He's a quirky guy and all that, and he kind of, he started out making some comics on Kickstarter. Set the Hook is the big book that he's known for, and he's like, I want to help, and he wanted to get all the more, not oddball, but slightly off of center sort of books and all.
Mhm.
So he's gotten a lot of us, it's pseudo horror, but that's only because we get weird and, pseudo supernatural, pseudo. It just, again, we're just kind of slightly off the mainstream art. And that's kind of what his goal is just, keep it strange, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love my serious comics. Don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
comics are meant to be weird. Like
Yes,
that's what our
totally.
industry is built on. Like, I always think back to some of those '70s, especially DC, when they were getting real weird with some of the superhero stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of what we were. That was the foundation of what this industry is. So we definitely need to
Hmm.
embrace it more. So I noticed at one point in your career, you also are doing novels of the series, The Dusk, which is kind of what we're here to talk about. Um,
Yeah, I was
what was
actually,
that transition all about?
actually, when I got away from publishers, because, we do one story, one issue at a time.
Yeah.
Um, I was all like, because it's a big thing in indie comics. People don't have faith in a miniseries because they don't know if you're going to get the whole thing.
Hmm.
'Cause I was like, oh, okay, one and two. I mean, it's gotten better with crowdfunding and all that, but when I started, you never knew if you were going to get the whole package. So I was all like, well, what if I was smart and started with the whole package and do it as a whole graphic novel?
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, even better to make sure it runs on time. What if I use different artists for different stories? So that means multiple people are working at the same time and it'll get done quicker. And I found it's the opposite that happens. Somehow it will take, twice as long the more artists you throw into it. And I was all like, oh, okay. So I was trying to be super clever. And it's funny because now with a lot of indies, they are going more to graphic novels for a different reason is because they're more price per unit. So they're just more sound, a $5 book and you're only getting, maybe 50 cents off of it because, you got to pay for printing and marketing and distribution and all that. That's not as much money if you're selling, say, a, $20 book and
Hmm.
you're getting, $5 off of it, gives you a lot more wiggle room. So a lot like a good example of that is Source Point is going to that model suit too. And it only makes sense. I know like this big comic book retailer down in Texas and he loves comics, but he's a businessman and he loves gaming too. And he's like, it just makes more sense that $100 board game for that, little bit of space it takes up. It generates more profit than the whole wall of, 3.99, 4.99 comics just by, simple
Yeah.
math. So I was trying to be out clever at all. It's just, I think it was too soon and I tried to do too many things at once because I did it all 6 by 9 because I was like, oh, I'll make it manga size and, tap into that. And now you'll see like with DC and they do the compact size now. It's like, so
Hmm.
I had a lot of good ideas. It's just, I didn't have good timing, if you will.
Yeah, kind of like how Microsoft created the tablet way before the iPad came out, but it's like, but nobody talks about
Oh
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah. The whole, yeah, the Surface.
No, it's interesting to me watching the trends and things like that because, like you said, DC, but I see everybody doing it now. Like all the indie
Yeah.
guys are doing it. I'm gonna forget his name, but that book I really love, 7 Years in Darkness. All the traits for that are in manga size,
Oh
and
yeah. Shalinki. I can never say his name
yes,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And
and
that's what we're doing at Rolling Squid Bones too, is doing that pocket size, sort of as
yeah,
well.
and I saw Reebok or Rebic, Rekka,
Rekka, yeah, Rekka
Rekka
through
with
Parna and
the future is
Adam
fucked.
Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah, they put that out manga size, and I'm like, this is a great idea because you can put it right on the shelf right next to the manga. And even with, I started to look into because I had a creator on who was Korean and look into Korean comics, and all their
Hmm.
books they're like the middle between American and Japanese comics
Hmm.
because they're Japanese style, but they read like ours
Yeah, the
do.
way. Yeah,
So, so it's like that nice transition for people to come over to us. Hopefully,
yeah.
yeah,
And
that was a really
it's funny because I remember when the manga size hit, I've actually been to Japan and I was a manga fan, and they don't have they have a roughly a small size, but it
Mhm.
varies. But somehow in America, you know, they decided on one size, and it was all like, what? That's not, but it makes sense. You want to have one uniform size. It's just, I was, young and being all, that's not authentic. Like, well, David, authentic, it'd all be kanji and you wouldn't be able to read it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if I look deeply into it, it all comes down to price. Like somebody took a
Oh, yeah.
gamble and said this is the cheapest way to do it, let's do it. And
Hmm.
it stuck. I don't even really I mean, I've got one sitting right here. I don't really need to do much uh looking to know that that's probably what happened. But it works because the
Yeah.
price is so great because anyone with kids that's into that now, it's so easy to be like, can I get this book, Dad? Or in my case, stepdad. It's like, yeah, $10, sure. I mean, better than my habit. My books cost me almost 30 every time I go.
I know. And that's, I mean, I'm really impressed with the DC line because they're all $10 a pop. I get a little
Yeah.
silly though. I'm like, I'd rather get the 500 pager than the 100 pager. It's like, why? Because it's $10 a pop. I want, I want more for my $10.
Yeah. Yeah. This was made me laugh with them with the Marvel and the DC ones is that you get one that's like 8 to 10 issues, but then the
Hmm.
next one is an original OGN that's like a quarter the size, but they're the same price.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so you guys just decided to go with that route. But so all these novels I see on Amazon, those are all graphic novels?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I did
Uh,
do, I did do a novel, and then I did a collection of short stories based off of that novel and all that, done by me and some other writers. So yeah, no, I've pumped a lot of content for Dusk, but yeah, it's 3 graphic novels, so that's about 100, that's about 400 pages, and then however much, uh, you know, 300 pages in the novel and so forth. So yeah, it's mainly graphic novel stuff.
okay. And for people out there, what is the Dusk?
Dusk. Originally, I'm also a big role playing fan too, and I did a lot of vampire live action back when I was younger. Uh, and I just took some of those plot lines because I came from traditional role playing, and I always felt like you needed plot lines like you would in D&D and all that.
Mhm.
So I used some of them, and I just took that from some of the pieces from the game, and I just extrapolated it into the books. And I mean, there's a lot of little details to it because the 2 lead characters were actually their characters were played by 2 friends of mine, and they had a kind of tumultuous relationship. So kind of just cribbing a little bit about how they always had friction that worked great. I never copied anything exactly, but I
Mhm.
got the general vibe of, about how they were always, rubbing each other the wrong way to put into the story and all that. But again, I'm getting old because, and not to bring it down again, but the person who played Eve and was the female in the relationship, she a couple of years ago passed of cancer, so it's starting to bring a darker sort of you know element to the books and all that. But I was like, it's gothic to begin with, so I should
Yeah.
kind of try to own it. It's just you know locked in the mix, and you try to honor it and also do the best you can by it.
So when that happens, because I've talked to a few creators who have done something similar, taking their RPG session, made it into a comic series. But
Hmm.
when that happens, how do you have a send off for that character? Do you continue to do something with it in the story? Like, how does her character live on or lack thereof in the book?
Well, with that, and since it was she's the main character, I never really had thoughts about ending it per se.
Oh, okay.
And the way, my, the male lead, he always jokes, like, "You've played my character longer than I have played my character." And it's kind of a different version, if you will. And it's just different, ways you look at it. It's funny 'cause, My other big book, The Trials and Tribulation of Miss Tilney, was based on I can get into it. It's based on a D&D game, but it's a subsection of a subsection of D&D. And the girl who played the lead in that, whenever I do side stories or anything that wasn't part of the game she played, she calls it fan fiction. So me and the artist is all like, well, the artist goes, what did she think of it? She doesn't think it's real. It's like, well, it's all not real. It's like, no, it's fan fiction. What? It's like, she literally called it, we're doing fan fiction, but we're the writer and artist. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
I love that. Yeah, because that's her character. She decides where it goes. Yeah, I get that. I just had a moment in my D&D campaign where my character is now undead, and the whole crew afterwards was like, "Is everything good?" Because I was really not happy with that. What happened? But that's how the game goes. And I'm like, I'm not happy with it, but like we're gonna keep going and we're gonna save this character. like I know how this character is gonna react to it. As the player, I was like, I don't want to play an undead, but as the character, I'm like, no, I know what he's gonna do. And he's gonna finish the fight.
No, that's cool to give you an example of. And I'll try not to do D&D stories all day, but I was playing Call of Cthulhu with the RPGA, so the official, back in they have a different Adventure League, I think it is now, and we were doing Call of Cthulhu one shot, and it was pre-generated characters, and mine was in Egypt, and I was the guide. So I was local and I was very superstitious and all that. So the minute we saw something unnatural, I got up and started screaming, and I ran out because we were at a game shop, but it was at night, and I went out to the parking lot going, ah! And they're all like, looking at my wife at the time who was playing too. And they're all like, is he okay? It's like, no, he's role playing. And then through the whole rest of the time, I kept trying to, shut the door to the evil tomb and all that. And they would just tie me up, and I would just sit there in my chair doing this for like 2-3 hours. And like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, no, I'm playing my character. This is bad. It's like, but you can play. I'm like, no, bad Buju, shut it down.
That's I have one friend who gets really into it and does like kind of the same thing. He'll do these like things that everybody's kind of like looking over, but it's just, that's Jeff role playing. Like he gets into it. He wants to act out the scenes. I'm not that guy, but he is. And, we all play a little different. And, but that's one of the things I love about tabletop role playing is just, it's a blast. It's a good excuse to hang out with people, tell great stories, and just have a little fun. Get away from your world for a day,
And it's a great way to be creative in a different way. I find yes, I still want to make comics, but if I'm gaming regularly, I find my need to be creative is sated a lot better if I'm, in a game for during that time, because you're still telling stories and all that. It's just in a different way.
Well, I tell people all the time, like my current group is at my local comic shop, and actually the comic owner is the DM of the group. About half of us we had never met before playing, and we've been playing for 4 years now straight. And they're, community now. We all text each other and like talk and everything. We became friends over it. Like, don't be afraid to play with people you never played before. Maybe it won't gel. We've had people jump in and out that just don't gel with the group, but the core is just solid. It's great.
Yeah. No, I've been on both sides of that, where some people you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. The other times you're like, Betty, hey.
Yeah, definitely. So the game you were basing this on, was it the Vampires the Masquerade RPG?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never played it myself, but I've had friends that say it's great.
So I definitely filed the serial numbers off of it. And I remember I ran into Justin Achilles a few times at cons. He was one of the head developers and all that. And I learned an education about copyright and infringement and all that, because I was talking to him at the time when they were suing Underworld, the movie.
Okay.
And they were all like, well, I don't see a direct correlation. It's like, no, it's not an obvious direct copy. But if you look at all these bits and pieces, they're copying a lot of elements. And unfortunately, you have to protect your copyright or it just becomes weaker. And then you have, previous examples. Well, you didn't enforce it. It didn't matter that too much, so people can,
Well,
crib from you. But as a
yeah.
creator, I've always tried to, because I met so many people go, I was like, oh, I wrote this Gundam story and I wish I could get it made. I was like, well, make it. Like, well, I don't own Gundam. It's like, well, then don't make it Gundam. Change it enough where it's just giant mecha, which that's really prevalent, and tell your own story and just make sure you don't have, literally don't name them Gundams or Zaku, and, do not do
Yeah.
the copyrighted stuff.
I mean, yeah, so much of our favorite stuff is just what if stories.
Mhm.
Like Walking Dead is what if Dawn of the Dead kept going. Like or I mean, how many indie comics are literally what you said, things we loved with the serial numbers kind of scraped off. It's
Yeah.
that's create, as long as you're not copying one for one. Like, don't
Oh,
make
yeah,
your
yeah.
Star Wars story that's literally Jedi's versus Sith.
Mhm.
But but yeah, that's what stories are meant for. They're meant to inspire further creations and the next
Yeah,
thing
and
and the
it's fun
next
to
thing.
see variations on a theme and see a different take
Yeah.
and all of that, and we know there's enough room because Lord knows we have not run out of versions of Batman yet that people will not, read and
Yeah.
all that. If the character, the concept is strong enough.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I'm super excited for stuff like that to go into public domain, because when
Mhm.
people get a hold of the actual Batman, even though it's going to be the Detective 27 Batman, I get it, but
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people get a hold of that, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot of education and stuff because I've learned that too. Like, well, there's copyright and then there's trademark. And a lot of people, it's like, oh, I put on the logos. Like, don't do that. Why? That's trademark. Trademark's an entirely different animal than, copyright.
Yeah, I think a
And
lot of you,
everyone.
I think a lot of you indie guys have gotten a good education in that over the years, though, because you've all been using, like you're using what you're doing right now, but you see so much Cthulhu stuff out there and so much Wizard of Oz stuff out there,
Mhm.
and so on and so on. Like, it's gonna be funny when you indie guys are the ones that are best positioned once Superman and Batman get into that market to do like cool
Mhm.
things with it
Yeah.
and not get sued.
Yes. Or yeah, or just, have polite conversations and not just.
Yeah,
And I will say though is like one of the it's a minor complaint because like when Winnie the Pooh and a lot of that came public domain, it was all like horror, and you're like, but there's a guy who, God, I'm forgetting his name, but he does a kid's book called the Gobbler, or yeah, and he did a Winnie the Pooh adventure. He didn't call it that; it's Pooh Bear Adventures, and it's more in the vein of the original. It's a children's story.
yeah,
I'm like, that's what I want to see. I want to see more of the same or a different spin on it. That's so a lot of stuff on like I can't write like malign, so I couldn't even get near anything of that. So that's but yeah, and yes, we mine so much of the public domain, mostly because we grew up on it, and ultimately because we want to tell those stories.
yeah, yeah, and because honestly, it's a great way to get attention to your project too. Like,
Yeah,
it's people
that is
know
always
the name.
that is the trick, is because they're all like, oh, it's a brand name, and that's something we can't, we don't have. It's like, how strong is it, sort of thing. Like poor John Carter, he's not as strong as we thought
Yeah,
because Disney couldn't even launch a franchise off of him. So it's tricky. It's like, well, there's a reason why they're that old and they're not really in use anymore. And you kind of have to balance that. Like I've heard a couple of people want to do Lensman, if you ever heard of that, by Doc E. Smith. Uh, the Japanese did an anime of it in the 80s and all, and that's in public domain, but it's all like, don't see a lot of it because it's, some of the concepts are a little bit too old. And how much effort do you want to go into building, you know, putting your strengths into it and building up a character that doesn't have, you know, just trying to say public domain is not the gold mine people think it is. It's useful,
oh yeah,
yes, but it is not,
yeah.
instant book success.
I think personally, it's best to be used to add to your story.
Hmm.
I'm forgetting that book. I think it was Oni Press that put it out, where a kid found out that his father was a cartoon character, and so he lived between the world of cartoon and real world, and then yeah, so he goes on this venture. It's basically like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but like with a little
Oh.
kid finding out that he's like the Jesus of this like cartoon world where he's supposed to save them from something, and then you find out like I think it was like 8 issues in, the person kind of at the top, the one who you've been fearing the entire series, is Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. Like that was an
Oh.
amazing reveal to a
Mhm.
book that didn't need to tell, that never said anywhere like, and we're this public domain Mickey Mouse book. I personally, I think that's the best way to use public domain, but I respect anyone that's like, hey, Cthulhu sells. Let's get my name out there with a cool Cthulhu story.
Yeah.
Like I
And
get
I'm not
that.
trying to disparage anyone.
Yeah.
I always try to warn people because, in comics, not everyone, but, new people looking out from in, they're like, oh, a lot of comics get turned into movies and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but the percentages and the amount of work and the years, it's not, there is no easy ways or shortcuts. I mean, some people get lucky, but they are the exception to the rule. So I always like to tell people, like, no, if you don't love comics, comics is going to beat the crap out of you. Even if you do love comics, comics will be rough with you, but at
That's
least you'll be able to take it better because you love the abuse.
I've had conversations with creators behind the scenes, and they're always like, it's so rare to go on a comic book show where the person there reads comics. Like, and it always blows my mind. I'm like, well, why? And like, they think there's money. And I just always laugh. I'm like, they're going to be shocked.
Mhm.
Like, even on this end, you got to be here for the love of the game. There's no other reason to be here. And if something comes along with it, kudos, but
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah. Don't plan on it. Enjoy
Yeah.
it if it does come, but do not build a plan off of that, windfall.
Yeah, exactly. Like it have a business plan. Don't get me wrong. Don't come in
Mhm.
blind like I did and figure it out as you go, because that was a long road with a lot of bad mistakes. But but it's you're not gonna get rich off of it unless you're extremely, extremely lucky. And I've only seen a few that have done it from my version of the industry, at least. And even from the creator's perspective, like how many people that you're like, oh man, you've been published by DC, Marvel, and everything. Like, yeah, and I still have a day job.
Yeah.
it's, it's insane. So getting back to your book though,
Yes. Yes.
um, so we got a cool vampire story. You've been doing it for a while, to the point where now
Mhm.
you're getting ready to do an omnibus, which I can't think of another indie creator that's done an omnibus recently. So it's pretty rare. How does that feel, first of all, to have enough to put out an omnibus?
Um, it's a lot of mixed emotions. It's like, oh, cool, wow. I've been in it and I've stuck with it, and it's like a badge of honor. But then you're all like, oh my God, this is where I'm at after 20 years, and I don't have more, and all this other. So you go back and forth because you're your own worst critic. And um, I have noticed though that a lot. Because I come before the days of crowdfunding when you just threw money into a hole and
Yes.
hope something came out of it. Um, so I'm saying crowdfunding's been a real big help, and the internet too. I tried to do it. I tried so many different things when the internet first hit, because you're like, oh, it's ultimate distribution, and you're like, yes, but it's ultimate distribution for all content, not just comics. So when you think you're getting off of the clogged roadway, you're getting into a clogged, much bigger highway, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not fighting just comics now. I'm competing against I Love Cheeseburger and YouTube videos and conspiracy theories. You're fighting against, not fighting, but, a lot more things asking for eyeballs, attentions. So yeah, it's a good feeling. But I was going to say is I've noticed a lot of the current generation, they're building their first trades and all of that,
Yeah.
and they're very happy. And I don't. It's funny. It's like because they're doing the more traditional route where they go, "Oh, I'm going to do issues 1 through 6, then I'm going to collect it." I'm like, "Oh, that's so smart." I did collect issues 1 through 6, release it, do that a couple of times, and make an omnibus. So, yeah, part of me is like, I could have. What? And current present me is like, well, why pass me? Why did we hate each other? Hate ourselves so much to do it? But so you heard, I was just trying to be innovative and try a different stab at it. And That's how
Well,
you learn.
it's also a crowdfunding. It's a more direct path of like, here's my 4 issues.
Mhm.
I'll get just enough from crowdfunding from each issue to keep doing it, and
Mhm.
then cash out at the trade.
Yeah.
Because when you talk
Or
like
hopefully crash
the
out at the
dirty
trade.
secret to everybody out there listening is
Mhm.
that as much as I kind of I don't want to say complain, but as much as I question pricing on Kickstarter, a lot of those creators aren't making money off those until
Mhm.
they hit the trade. Because that's when it's just a blank slate. You're quote unquote at $0. All you got to do is design it and get it printed.
Yeah,
You're
pay for
not
the
paying for
printing.
more art or anything like that for the most part. I
Mhm.
know it's not a perfect analogy, but yeah. So I think that's the reason why it kind of went back to the traditional model of, hey, put out these single issues because we can get the art paid for along the way and then you can cash out at the end. Um, Obviously, that depends on so many factors, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you had the 3 volumes, and that's obviously what you're collecting with this omnibus. Was there any new or like hard to find content that's going to be in there? Or
We're gonna try to we're gonna put some behind the scenes stuff that was never printed, trying to get some new art made up. And the original stuff was done black and white because it's a vampire story and also because it's cheaper. So we're adding some other random black and white pieces from some of the color books I did later and throw that in there too. So it should be a good mix and match. But the thing is, it's also been out of print for a while. I was with because I was talking about how I was doing self publishing and then I was doing full publishing, and that all kind of fell apart. And so I stopped keeping things in print for a bit, and I was just kind of focusing on new stuff. So it's also hasn't been in print in a while. So that's another treat in itself is that it's like, oh yeah, I've talked about it. I've, passed it around digitally, but it's coming back.
yeah, I so with you're doing this on Kickstarter, so everybody out there can go check out the Kickstarter for
Hmm.
this. It's currently in pre-launch, so you can follow it.
Yeah.
But when it does launch, are you going for the more prestige hardcover, nice, a little bit expensive on the bus? Are you going for the soft cover, cheap, get it in people's hands on the bus? Or are we doing both? Like, what's kind of your
We're
philosophy
looking
going
at
into this?
doing both. We're looking at sticking with the original concept of doing it as a compact size as the main one, but then we're also looking at
Oh,
a hardback one too. So that way, if people go, I just want to support you and I want to read it and I want a physical copy. It's like, there you go. They're like, well, I want a fancy one and all that. And, we're doing that as well. So
very
we're
cool.
trying to cover the gamut because just see how that goes. The rest of it, have to talk to the publisher about other types of things we want to do because doing books so long, I've never fully embraced and I know it's stupid. It's just my stubbornness of, I know I have a hard time doing the other merchandise. A lot of people like to do plushies or, challenge coins and all that. And I'm like, there's no writing in plushies. There's no writing in challenge coins. Like, well, stop being a snob, David. People, someone pointed out, it's like if a person wants to support you, they can only buy the book, maybe twice at best if they're really nice.
Yeah.
But what other items can they buy to support you? And I was like, other merchandise. So I have to have other people help, you know, encourage me to be like, well, let's do that. Or like, no, I'm an artiste. How dare you?
I always, personally, and I'll vocalize this for probably the first time, I
Mhm.
believe, but I've always questioned all that stuff. Like, like, no offense to anybody, but who wants the Lego minifigure? But somebody's buying it. Like, people do want it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the odd man out on that one. Uh, I would rather just get the book and support creators that way. That's just me. Obviously, that does change for certain things. You can just see behind me that I support different IPs different ways. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know the feeling though. It's got to be even worse as a creator to be like, okay, I can make this plushie, but who the fuck's gonna buy this? And then, but somebody does want to buy it. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
and
Like,
no,
yeah,
and some people have fun, and some people creators do it because they want the plushie.
yeah,
And as I've gotten older, I've not de-evolved. I've changed from being a collector to a reader. to where I want reader copies of things. I will sell some books to get new books to read. I don't know if you have Ollie's where you live, but
Yep.
I go there all the time looking for trades to read, or if I want a toy, it better be at 50% discount. And then I'll, I have a 10% off coupon, then I'm getting it. I don't want to feed back into it anymore. But again, that's just because I've been at too many shows. And when I'm tired on a Sunday and you're like, come on, just try out my book. And you see someone walking around with a Batman toaster that costs $200. I'm like, you know how many different books, you could have bought with that? But then other people goes, that's not your reader. Your readers are coming to you and they want to check it out. That is a Batman fan. And not all comic readers are your audience. I'm like, I know. Just on a Sunday afternoon, you're all like, you just gotta, you gotta vent your frustration a little bit.
No, and I know that feeling. I've been cutting down my pull list recently because I am less of a collector, more reader, and I'm actually transitioned into a bit of digital. I'm not gonna lie, everybody. But also, I ask about how you're going to deliver the omnibus because I think my new favorite thing, and it's gotten me to read series that I've long had like on my list of like I should really read this, are those softcover omnibuses, omnibus, however we're going to say it.
Yeah,
because they're cheap. Just to be honest, they're usually like $25 to $40, and you get like 20 to 40 issues in them. They're awesome.
It's funny.
And,
you remind me of, you remember Dark Horse did a bunch of smaller pocket omnibuses of a lot of their stuff before the whole omnibus boom hit. And the pocket things did because, then Marvel and DC did omnibuses and their giant $125, hardbacks. But I'm remembering now, Dark Horse, and I think IDW copied that format too, to where you get those smaller, soft omnibuses and it's just a big old chunk of a story for a reasonable price.
Yeah. Not only does that get people in the door to your series, but if they love it, then they'll buy the extra stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. This is a bad example because it's so rarely done, but I walk into somewhere, I see a ROM something, I'm still buying it. I'm still going to collect that. But yeah, it's not like it was in my 20s where it's like everything Marvel, I got to have everything DC. Like, that's awesome. I got to have it. Yeah. I have a truck payment now. I have, I'm about to have a mortgage hopefully in the next couple of years. Like, there's things that are taking priority over that stuff.
And also, though, they lean into it too heavily because they realize, like, oh, we can make extra money this way. And you're all like, you burn us out after a while when you're new and you're all like, oh my God, it's a buffet. This is as much as you can eat. Yeah. But after a while, when you start, having bypass surgery, I'm like, I can't eat at this buffet no more. It's gonna crush me.
Yeah. When you're surrounded by books that you bought and you haven't read, and it's just like, okay, we need to calm down and just focus our energy in. Because there's a billion, just like TV, video games, anything. There's so many things I would love to experience. I know I would love, but only so many hours in the day, and pick your poisons. So when can people expect that Kickstarter to go live? Do you have a plan for that, or are you kind of?
We do, and some people I tell it, they're like, what? But the Chad with Rolling Squid Bones like, no, that sounds fine. We're trying to game the Kickstarter system. I always try to find ways to, work it to our advantage. And we're not actually doing the Kickstarter until around my birthday, which is in October, which is perfect spooky time.
Okay.
But I'm sure you're like looking at the calendars like, we're in January, David. Yes. But one of the things is that helps a Kickstarter is how many followers you get. And I was like, well, if this is the 20th year, why not? Let's see how long we can do a push. Because I know some people that will do pre-launch until they get a certain amount of followers, or some will do it a couple of months in advance, or some will always have their next one sitting in launch while they're doing the other one. And I was like, let's just see, because it's the 20th anniversary. And so it's, it's not like I'm just doing any random Kickstarter. So I'm just trying to see how far I can push it. And it will be broken up through the year because they're releasing a lot of my back stock straight. We're not doing Kickstarters for that. I have a new book coming out on Kickstarter. So it is going to get, the attention going to get broken out. So it's not just going to be me for the next 9 months go, omnibus, where you get sick of it. We're just trying to, take advantage of all the levers and pull them all, to see, get people's attention.
Yeah, followers is like the new day one backer for Kickstarter,
Yeah.
for what I've seen. It seems like everybody's
Hmm.
pushing for that because it gets you up the algorithm on day one. So I'm sure that
Yes.
feeds into the next. But yeah, I've seen that a
Hmm.
lot. Like once we hit 200 followers, then I'll launch. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then there's so many different things of like, oh, I'll give you this free thing before launch, or I will do this day one discount, or I will, not only do we not just have stretch goals, we have uh, pledge goals where if like, oh, if I get 100 pledges, we're going to do this and all of that, which I look more at the pledges, the people amount than the number and amount. Cause I know some Kickstarters that are like, oh, we've raised this much money. It's like, well, how many people you got? Cause ultimately my end goal as a writer, which is not the smartest in the business sense, is I want as many readers or,
yeah,
pledges as possible. So I'm never big on, and it goes against traditional logic. Like, well, you want some high tier, Kickstarter items because that makes it easier to get to your tier. All you need to do is sell a couple of 500,
yeah.
original art, win a free Xbox, really cool stuff to cover, to cover all the, like, well, everyone else bought digital at $5 a pop. It's like, it'll take forever. I'm like, yeah, but that's what I want to do is I want to sell the books. I don't, and it comes back to the whole, like, I'm not here to sell doodads and, but it's the constant fight of the creative side of me and the pragmatic side of me, because those are two different sides. It's all like, well, you need the money to pay everyone and to print it. Like, yes, but I want people to read it and enjoy it. I don't want to sell the other things and make money. It's like, yeah, money makes the world around, especially because you're in a very capitalist country. Well, damn it.
But there's no long term view on that too, because the
Yeah.
$5 backer on your first issue, hopefully they come back for the second, third, fourth, fifth,
Hmm.
and then those people are more likely to also jump in on the trade. So yeah, that's a $5 backer, but it's a $5 backer that you now have got 50 out of for one story. When
That's true. That's very
like
true.
it's yeah. I personally, I think the canniest thing that Kickstarter creators are doing, and I don't see enough of them doing it anymore. I know a few people are, but the backer goals where like every 10 backers or however many backers, like you get a free digital indie comic from one of my friends. And it's usually a
Hmm.
first issue from someone. But hey, not only does that get me to check out the Dusk #1 because I backed um I don't know, Alice Lost in Wonderland Volume 1,
Yeah.
but it also just like makes me feel that the money I did spend on that Kickstarter, I got a little bit more for it. I got these 8 other comics too that I can check out. So I think
Oh, and
it
I do
helps
love
so
that
many.
aspect where you'd be like, oh, here's the dollar tier where you can get 10 indie books, or I'm
Yeah,
going to give away or whatever. I love that because it does build the industry and you get to try new stuff and you're basically cross promoting each other and all that. The grumpiness is just me being at it for a while to where it is tongue in cheek, but it is sometimes you're just like, ah, I gotta accept it or I gotta find a way around it. But I have been at this game for 20 years apparently.
yeah.
So some days I'm just like, I'm gonna just buy the book. Why do I gotta work so hard? But that's not how that works. So I try to, do it in tongue in cheek, but I've learned to be more positive. That's why I'm more on online and all that. Because I can't pledge to every Kickstarter I want. So I do a lot of more sharing other people. And I've learned a trick again, playing with
Yeah,
the algorithms, like on say Facebook. I always try to give them a heart because thumbs up doesn't matter as much as in the math of things. And I try to leave a comment because again, you're playing with the algorithms that makes it see more things. So I'm spending time of the day doing, a lot of time of the day doing that sort of, helping people because I
yeah,
don't have that much extra cash. And it's a more positive way. It's like an opposite doom scroll instead of just going through, all right, look at all these comics. They're taking all my attention. Like, no, uh, these are all other books. We're all helping each other. People like that. That means there's more readers for me too, and to learn to support the community better.
yeah, and yeah, sharing, liking, all that is such a
Hmm.
huge. People don't understand how much it helps out. It's
Yeah.
the best thing you can do, and it's free. But the other cool thing you're doing right now to kind of promote this is you have this little indie comics bundle going on. And I
Mhm.
was going through it earlier today, and I mean, people can go through it. It's a lot of books that there's a lot of books here I know, and the creators that
Mhm.
I've been lucky enough to meet over the years. There's a few I've never heard of, which is really nice. What was the idea behind this little bundle to help promote your project?
Well, me and Park Cooper, he's with Wicker Man Studios. He and his wife, Barb, probably that was a Barbara. Anyways, I always get that mixed or name messed up. But we both teamed up and we wanted to, get a bunch of books and share them and all of that. And everyone's so great, whenever there's a call for like, hey, can anyone donate a book? Everyone jumps in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we kind of do. But I tried to, like, when I support my, share books and all that, I try to find everyone or try to find as many little algorithm will let me see and not just get, it's like, well, here's all the big ones or here's all the horror ones or, here's all the slice of life ones. It's like, no, just get as many as you can. So you get a big collection because you don't know what you're going to like. And everyone is just so cool. We asked everyone, like, hey, can we do this? And, we're going to give it out and we're going to use it as a kind of promotion tool for my launch and for his, for Park's new books that are just come out and, with his publisher. And they're like, yeah, sure. So we just like, well, let's get as many as we can and give a big old value. And that's what we try to do because it's free advertisement and it's great support for each other. And it's just fun to do. And you get a lot of free books to read.
Yeah, and I was just counting through 8 of them I have personally read and can vouch are really good.
Yeah, I
So,
heard you already missed Lost in Wonderland. So I was like, oh, Fish. So,
yeah, I haven't been able to interview Fish yet, but I've been pushing to get him on the show soon. But like the guys at Sierra Nova Comics, love those guys. Mittens is just such a fun book.
oh, I love their
Um,
team. They are so cool. And
yeah,
the work most, it's funny. I don't know if it's a backhanded compliment, but they are like the most drama free, just chill group. Because,
yes,
we're all pop personalities and comics and all that, but Sierra Nova, they do their thing. They do it good. No fuss, no muss. They are just chugging along. And I really like them. And Greg is just running a good crew and all that. And they're just a good bunch.
yeah, and I could list that for a bunch of the project or books
Hmm.
here. Like, there's some really great books that I've personally read, and some that I'm like, Dreadlock the Barbarian. I love Barbarian comics. I never heard of this one before. Hey, I'm gonna probably check this one out now. Like, just it being here. So it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like
And
there's
I
some
think
cool
that's
stuff in there.
Don Walker. He's just an amazing talent and artist and all.
Yeah. So how can people get the bundle? I guess is the first question.
They have to follow a link and fill out the form, and we'll be giving away the bundle to a few lucky people about the end of the month.
Okay. And is the bundle finalized or
Yeah, that's it. What's on the list
what's
is what you'll get.
okay? And you can expect so from you and your friend there they're promoting stuff. I'm assuming that some of yours. I see that Dusk is in here. I'm assuming that one of his previous
Yeah,
books is in here as well.
yeah, Hungry Ghost, which is an interesting one. It's done in the sort of old Japanese ghost stories type of graphic novel. So his book's in there as well.
It's very cool. So definitely, just sounds really cool. I love everything you're doing here. I love the community building with it. Like, it just sounds like a cool project. It sounds like you're doing some fun things, and I'm glad to see that there's somebody else that's a little bit of a grumpy old man out there in this industry. So, because I feel like I'm the only one sometimes.
Well, I see you're getting there. You're getting the gray where mine's starting to turn white. That's what happens when you get your final evolution. You start to look like Alan Moore casting spells at Hollywood and, mainstream comics. Like, ah!
That's my favorite meme when I see non-comics people posting it too, and it's him on BBC, and it shows his like log line. It's like writer, Rasputin enthusiast or something like I forget the exacts,
Yeah.
but it's
Tightrope
like
walker, magician,
yeah,
Rasputin fan. You're like, what?
this is
What's he
what
do?
I'm
It's
trying to
like,
do
what
right
he
here.
does, though. Yeah.
So yeah, that's I love that. So for people out there listening, obviously they can go to Kickstarter, follow that. That's going to be kind of the most important thing. And then to follow you on social media, where could they go to follow you to see what other projects are going to be happening this year?
Yeah, look for Dusk Comics or for Rolling Squid Bones and search for those and you'll find me.
Okay. And to everybody out there, make sure to check out the show notes down below because I'll have links to everything as well. David's social media, most importantly, the Kickstarter page, and I'll have a link to the bundle so you can check that out as well because that's definitely going to be a lot of comics for bang for your buck there. Yeah, David, it's been a pleasure talking with you, man.
Same here.
I love getting somebody that just has that joy for comics. So it's been a great time, and I hope we can do it again someday.
Definitely. I'm going to hold you to it.